Well, the Great Lakes have long been known for their power and their peril. From fur traders back in the day in hand-built canoes to overloaded steamships of the 1800s, history has shown how sudden, violent storms have claimed countless lives. Now, even with modern ships, the lake can give little warning. We are now nearly 50 years to the day that Lake Superior claimed the Edmund Fitzgerald and all 29 souls on board. The date was in November of 1975, one of those storms that had struck again. Here's our meteorologist Ryan Weekman and John Birchfield.
Here with meteorologist John Birchfield. John, this was a storm unlike any other.
Yeah, certainly in terms of both the winds, the waves, and things really escalated and played a role in the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
They absolutely did. So let's take you to this storm, and the path of this one very unique, coming straight out of Iowa, and how compact and strong that this was is what combined to produce this disaster. So the Edmund Fitzgerald leaves Duluth on November 9th. Reports some pretty good waves as it's moving through the western portions of Lake Superior, moves across the central basin, and things actually settle down for a little while, but then here come the big waves. It's that southward turn. The waves come out of the west, and that's where disaster strikes. And John, it's hard to fathom just how big that these waves really were. Put it in perspective for us, the timing of all of this.
Yeah, the storm really ramped up exactly when the Edmund Fitzgerald was making that fateful voyage, and the weather coincides with some of the reports that we're seeing. So the morning of November 10th, that is when the waves and the winds really started to pick up, and we do have some data out on the Great Lakes that shows 35-knot wind gusts. That's equivalent to 40+ miles per hour. And in terms of the waves on the waters, 10-foot waves. At that point in time, Captain McSorley decided to slow down the speed of the Edmund Fitzgerald ever so slightly to account for the weather. During the afternoon, the storm intensified. We have some reports of 50-knot wind gusts. That is equivalent to 58 miles per hour, and that really kicked up the waves as well. Now, to make matters worse, visibility dropped as precipitation started, and during the month of November, that precip was snow. Around 2:45 p.m., there are reports of snow, in addition to those powerful wind gusts and high waves out on the Great Lakes. Now, things went from bad to worse during the evening. Wind gusts topped out at approximately 75 knots during that evening. That's equivalent to over 80 miles per hour, and that corresponds to wave heights historic of 35 feet. And all that combined, the snow, the wind, and the waves contributed to the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Forecasting technology has improved drastically since the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The first GOES satellite image came back in the middle of October of 1975, just weeks before the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Technology has come a long way, and it's made forecasting over the Great Lakes considerably easier. We now have buoy data that provides real-time weather information over the Great Lakes. High-resolution computer models help us predict the future and tell you what kind of weather is coming. Also, real-time data provides current observations. We also have modern radar that provides a current look at storms and storm data, and also improved warnings make forecasting much more advanced and specific. Of course, all of this technology would have come in handy back then, but it does ensure that something like the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald will not happen again in the future.
We're going to ask you to stay with WTOL 11 as we sail toward November 10th, marking 50 years since the Toledo Express went down. We're going to bring you new stories uncovering the history, the mystery, and the lasting legacy of that tragic night each week. You can also find the full breakdown of our coverage up to date on WTOL 11 Plus or on WTOL.com.